For our final bonus content, I want us to jump back to the week where we talked about locking the background in our slides so that when we shared them with students, they wouldn't be able to move the items in the background. As teachers have completed that week's activities, I've had different teachers email me and say, well, I share my classroom like this, or I share my classroom like this. Have I been doing it wrong? And I can tell you that no, none of you are doing it wrong in those ways. Let me show you the 3 ways that I know of that people are sharing their Bitmoji classrooms through Google Classroom, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of each. So here is just a sample similar to what we were working on earlier. The background is locked here. You can go back to week, I believe it was week 3, where we looked at slides and look at how to lock your background if you're not sure about that. But the background is locked. The only thing that's really not locked are the 2 books. And those are links that students can click on and go and see those videos and hear those books being read aloud. Now, in this version, I did exactly what I showed you in that demonstration for how to lock the background. I put everything in place, I downloaded it as a PNG, and then I uploaded that image back to the background of my slide so that the bookshelf, the window, the sign, none of those things can be clicked on or moved around. I shared that to my classroom as a Google assignment. I took the exact same one. I put in everything that I needed. I didn't have to bother with locking the background because I'm going to do this in a different way. I got everything the way I wanted, and then I published this slide to the web. Now, I didn't go into that in the earlier slides class because I was just trying to stick with the basics, and that's a little bit more of an advanced skill. But very quickly, for those of you who are familiar with it, you're just coming up to File, and you are publishing to the web. And when you do, it gives you a link. And that's the link that I would copy, and then I will use that link in my Google Classroom. So this is published to the web. The final example of how to share your Bitmoji classrooms through your Google Classroom is to get your library the way you want it. You don't have to lock anything down here. You're just posting everything on the screen. And then we come under File and we download as a PDF document. Those are the 3 options. We've got locking the background, publishing to the web, or saving as a PDF. Now, when I go into my classroom, you'll see I've already got all 3 versions posted, but I quickly want to show you how they got there. Under Create, and for these I posted them as a material, if I click Add and go to Google Drive, that's how I'm grabbing the slideshow that I created where I just locked the background into place. I would find the library that I would have here at Sample BG for Sample Background. I would click on that, insert it. That's how I create the assignment for the one where I've locked the background. In the same way, I would click Add, click Link, and this is where I would paste in the link if I were publishing my slides to the web. Finally, I would add and click File, and then I would find the PDF that I had downloaded on my computer and attach that if I was using the PDF format for adding my Bitmoji to my Google Classroom. So all 3 are happening under the Add. It's either Google Drive, a link, or a file. And you can see that they are all there waiting for the student to see. Now, I'm going to jump into a student account so that you can see what the difference is. Here's my student, and my student has these 3 activities. let's start with the beginning one, the sample of just the locked background. When the student opens that, first of all, the way we wanted, the background is locked. They can't click and move any of the things in the background. The only thing they can click on are the two books. They can click those, click the link, and go and watch the video. They can't move the books. They're just active links. So, we've accomplished what we want to accomplish. Now, the downside here for some people is the presentation, because you have shared your slideshow. So they are seeing the sidebar where other slides might be. They are seeing some of the slide tools across the top. Now, they are in a view-only mode, so they can't edit your slide. Most of the tools have been grayed out and are not available. You'll see on the edit menu, most of the things aren't there. They could copy your slide if they wanted, but they can't change it. So you have achieved what you wanted. Just the presentation may not be as nice as some people would like. Now, let's go to the second option, publishing to the web. If I click here, now I don't see the slide tools all around. It's a bigger presentation because it takes up the full screen. Again, nothing can be moved in the background. Only the books can be clicked on as a link. So, in many ways, you have achieved the exact same thing. You've locked down what you want to have locked down, and the students can click on the links. Rather than seeing the slide tools in the edit mode, as you move the cursor around, periodically this black bar will show up here. These would be the slide controls for someone viewing a slideshow. That's the only sort of presentation element that can be distracting for some people. They may try to click on here and do things, and that's okay as well. They can't really do anything to your slide. There's only one slide, so it's pretty much static. It's locked in place. You've achieved your goal. The final one is the sample PDF. If the student opens the sample PDF, it opens as a PDF document, which means it opens smaller. And there's a lot of black border around the outside. But again, you have locked all your background. No one can do anything there. The links can be clicked on, and you will go and see the books. So in all three cases, background is locked. In all three cases, the books can be clicked on, and the links are active. Really, the only difference is the presentation. How does it look to the student? Does it look like a slide in sort of an edit mode? Does it look like a slide in a slide presentation mode? Or does it look like a PDF document? Either way, they are all accomplishing what you want them to accomplish. Now, I'm going to close these for a moment, and I'm going to show you the other thing that makes a difference here. I'm going to go back to my original classroom, and we're going to make a change. The change we want to look at here is what happens if I update my slides. So I'm going to go to each of my original slides. Here's where I'm building my winter library. And I'm going to add another book. I'm going to do the same thing where I've published to the web, and the same thing where I created the PDF file. Now, I've updated my slides. What does that do for my students? If I open up my student account and I open each of my activities, I can see the new book in the one where I've locked the background. It gets added. Where I've published to the web, it also gets added. Where I have saved it as a PDF, it does not. Once I've downloaded that PDF, it has separated itself from the original slides. It will not update. So if you have a static lesson that's not going to be updated, the PDF is still fine, But if you have a slide that you want to update as you go, you're building a library or you're building a series of activities and you're going to keep adding to it and referring students to go there and do things, the PDF has that disadvantage. You're going to have to download the PDF, create a new Google Classroom activity each time you update it in order for your slideshow to be updated for your students. The other two, the books appear, they are ready to go. So hopefully that will clear up any of the confusion you might have had about how you are sharing your Bitmoji activities or any of your Google Slides into your Google Classroom. There's not a right or a wrong way. They all achieve the goal that you want. The difference is two differences. How does it look to the person on the other end? And is it an activity that will update automatically if you update the original slide? Hopefully that helps in your work with Google Slides and in your work with Google Classroom.